Welcome back to my channel. So the last time we were here I was carving these outlines. So if you like to see part 1 where I show you how I prepare this board and how I create my design, you can find the link in the description below the video, or you can click this little I button on the top of the screen. In this video I'm going to be carving the shells and showing you how to create different kind of textures. So let's get started. All the outlines are done. I actually also decided to carve out the in-betweens. So now we're going to start on the shells themselves. I'm still not sure how I'm gonna do it, but I need to start somewhere. So I think like this one I'm quite clear about what I want to do, and this one probably as well. So I think I'm just gonna try and work my way up. That seems the more logical thing to do. So let's just start and carve, and I'm going to carve these like that way, because if I go the long way it doesn't give it the sense of it being round, I guess. And I might actually make these a little bit wider. But first I want to just get carving in this direction. You can hear on my voice that I'm not really clear what I want to do. I've got so many ideas in my head I want to do, but I need to stick to some plan. So I'm just gonna start with this one and we'll see how it looks, and then we can decide what we do with the rest. This is why it takes hours. Just carving simple lines. Creating a whole piece. It could take days or even weeks. So I finished this one, at least this is the first go at it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it or if I'm gonna change it down to some of the blues. But for now, I'm happy with it. The next one I want to tackle is this one here. So as you can see, I already did some extra lines. If I look at the shell in real life, the lines all go this way and it only has the creases going that way. But I'm not sure if that's going to give me the effect I want. I'm just gonna think how I want to differentiate between this and this one. Maybe I do thicker lines here and thinner lines there. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to just start at the outside and then work my way in. So I carved this shell yesterday and I did some other little things. I really like the texture of this one. I really like the light blue instead of the darker one. So I think that was a good decision. It's gonna be a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. I'm loving this so much more. So as you can see now it's really a tail and not a flat piece. Gives a lot more definition and it really defines the shape going up. So yeah, I'm really happy I did it, and that makes me so much more confident to experiment with the other parts as well. So which one are we going to do next? Should we do a small one? One of these? So I think this one is going to get just stripes like going this way, because direction the shell grows naturally. I'm going to do this all the way around, and then I'm going to deepen it up going back. Like the bigger ones, you have to think about how you want to do it, but it's easier. You have so much more differentiation because it's larger. You have more parts to work with. This is so tiny. You really want to do this the right way, the first way. So let me just go all the way around and back again. So I really hope you can see what I've done. So I made this sparkle low on the inside, so the curve comes up. So I'm really excited to see how it will look with some shading. I think it's gonna look really good. So let's get on to the next one. Here you're seeing me doing a different kind of cut. Instead of doing all small cuts, I'm going in one wavy line. This way you don't get the beginning and end parts. And it just gives an overall smoother look. And in the end I will be adding those detail lines you can see going from the bottom to the top back into this design. For this shell I'm going to use the depth and curve of the cuts to emphasize the roundness of the shell. I'm starting at the highest point of the shell. By curving both sides in a different direction, it will emphasize the roundness of that part. So it's important that you know what look you want for your part before you start carving. That way you can plan your cuts and get the effect you want. So today I've been carving on this little one and I really like how it's going. The tricky part is going to be the center, I guess. So I was thinking to just go around and make it a spiral because most of the parts are just too small. I stop and then I whip it up. That way it kind of breaks at the end. You get a little bit more of a sharper stop. I just put it in, whip it out. You can actually see it on the little piece. Let me see if I can show you. So if you can see, this part is pointy and this part is a little bit crumbly. That's the effect you're getting right here. I'm just pushing it in and then at the end pulling it up. And sometimes you get like a little area that's not as nice. You just use the tip of the blade to just clean it up. And I just feel that it makes it look a little bit better. And sometimes the smaller parts take more time than the bigger parts, just because you really need to look into the detail. So I've got 2 more parts to go. So let me think. I think I'm going to do it the same as the one before. So one on the right and go one on the left. And then I take out the middle part. Then I just clean up the little side areas like so. And then this part, I'm going to just curve it so you can see all the little dark pieces. I either go with the side of the blade and pick them off like that. That's really all in the details. At the end of the carving, I always go over the whole piece and clean it up. So the next piece I want to actually revisit before I move on is this area. I like the shape it has. It isn't really deep and I like to get a little bit more into the paint. I'm just going to go in and then out like so. I'll just turn it over and go in from the other side because you want it clean on the center lines. And try and meet them up in the middle. So I'm already liking it way more. It's just sometimes you start carving and you think that's how you want to do it. But then you get further into the carving and then you're like, no, I don't like the texture. I want to retouch it. And if you have enough depth in your paint, so in your layers of your paint, you can do that. So you can already see like the difference between this part and this part. This gets me more shadows than this because it's not as deep. It's just really shallow. So I'll be doing that for this part. So I just finished half of what I was doing. So this side I already did. This side I still have to do. But can you already see the difference it makes? This looks really flat and this you've got a lot of more depth. If I move my lighting, you can see, look at how much more dark and lightness I've got here. Like this is just flat. So I'm going to just finish this off and then we'll move on to the rest of the carving. So I'm going to do another one of these. I made this one first, but I did it off camera and I want to make this one the same. So I'm just going to start by carving the lines. The lines go a little bit like this. Hope you can see. What I do is first I carve a line, but I go straight so you get a nice deep cut like that. Okay, so now I've got my deep cut. And what I want to do is get this edge to go to that spot, but at an angle. So I'm tilting my blade to the side so I get like a downward slope. So I'm cutting mostly with not this part, but with the side of the blade. And then I just clean up anything that doesn't look nice, mostly using just the side of the blade. And then I just repeat that process till I come to the top. So the closer I get to the top, I'm going to make the ledges a little bit closer together. So I'm starting by already angling my blade and making sure that that top edge right there is just on the border of the dark. So I'm trying to get as close as I can so I have the least amount of cleanup. So you can see I still have a little bit of an edge, so I could have gone a little bit closer, but my camera is in the way. Same from the other side, trying to meet them up, and then I just clean up the edge I didn't get all the way. And I will just repeat that process all the way to the top. Let's do the eye. This is a sea urchin skeleton and I'm going to do a round part in the middle. Then it has normally a lot of little dots, but to make it look a little bit more like it should, I'm going to do lines coming in and lines going across. So let's start with the lines going in, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It's an abstract art, so I can do it whichever way I like. I just like to make it at least a little bit realistic. For now, I'm still debating on how I want to do my background because I do want to do something on here, but the things I had in mind, they're pretty busy. So I'm just going to finish the seahorse first, and I'm actually also going to go down to the blue on the background. So these areas, I already went down pretty far, but I think I want to have more distinction between the shells, because now it's just white on white on white. And of course I'm going to do some shadowing, but I don't think it's going to give enough of a difference between the pieces. So I think I need to go in between with the blue. So I have to recarve all of those. I wish you could be here and tell your opinion about the background, but it is what it is. Let's just first finish this. So the eye is done. I did these horizontal first and I added some vertical lines just to get that spiky look that I wanted to get but didn't know how. So by just crossing the lines I got all these little dots. So that's looking pretty nice. I think I'm gonna do this one next. And this one, the shell is going from low around and it should go over again. So it's just folding like a burrito. So this part in the center needs to be very low. So I'm just gonna start on the one edge. It has these kind of like lines going down the sides, like indents, making it look like kind of like it has teeth. So my parents also had these when I was smaller. These were actually one of my favorite kinds of shells. And I should actually just look up how they are called and add the name on the top of the screen. So if I don't forget in editing, you will now be seeing the name of this shell. So one of the ways to show how the shape of the shell is by making the lines curved. So I'm going to give it the teeth by going like so. So I'm slightly curving them. And then for this side, I'm going to curve them the other way. So these shells also have dots around here. So I think I'm going to make it pretty smooth, something like this, and then add the dots by going a little bit deeper into it. So let's add some dots. I don't want to do too many because I actually like the texture, but I want to add just a couple little spots. So I think just one more here. Hope you can see. Can you see the texture? It's pretty difficult to see white on white. I really think that it's gonna look a lot better when the shadows are on and when my background here is the blue. So I've been carving the background because I was still thinking about how I wanted to carve this one, but I think I've decided what I wanted to do. So I'm going to carve more like that shape in the spiral, and then I'm going to carve the main body of the shell like the main body of this one. So it's going to be a lot more smooth, and then I'll add the lines in there so the lines will stand out. So I think that should look good. Then I have a little bit of background to do right here. And then we'll move on to the final big shell. So I'm really excited. I really like how the light blue looks in between the shells as the background. It makes it pop way more. I'm still not sure about the background. I do want to add something, I guess. So what I might do is take a picture and then put it on the computer and draw it on my computer. So I can actually just draw a background before I actually carve one. I actually also put the number 2 blade in my other handle. So this is the Speeple one, and this is the SD one. Both have the same curve, so they both fit the blades. You can see the difference between the 1 and the 2. And I like to use the number 2 because it has a lot of side blade to do the flatter parts. Got a couple of blades here. So this one is a lot more curved. That's the number 3 from SD. And this is the number 1 from Speeple and the number 2 from Speeple. See, it's like a V. This is more like a curve. So sometimes I like this one for different patterns. I actually used it in my bear design. So I'll pop it up on screen and link you to the video I made my fishing bear. Pretty cool. It's one of the pieces I really love. It took a long time, but I really enjoy it. So let's just get carving. I say that a lot, don't I? Let's get carving. And as you can see, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been working on this piece for so long that I actually have my nails changed. So I've got a different glitter on my nails and I'm really loving it. Hope it's not distracting away from my carving. I like having a little bit of fun with my nails. So as you can see, I'm trying to curve the blade so it doesn't go as deep into the paint. It makes a really narrow cut. So I just take off the top of the color and I'll just come back to you when we're ready to go for the big one. Please watch the third part of this series to see how I finish the big shell on the seahorse and how I create my background. Thank you for watching and I'd love to see you in the next one. Bye everyone!